Everyone, so first of all, oh my god, I don't even know where to start. I want to start by saying sorry for all the people who have been following our NACA journey and wondering like what the heck happened. Last we left you, it was October, I believe, and I said that we just had an offer accepted, we're getting the inspection done, and then life happened. And when I say life happened, this includes us walking away from the offer that we had accepted. I feel like I could spend a long time talking about why we did that, but being that that is almost almost a year ago, I'm not going to spend time talking about it. But we ended up walking away from the deal, if you watched my last video, for clear reasons. And then since that time, we were looking for a home. And we had very little luck. The market seems to be getting worse, at least where we were living, and we were not able to find a home until recently. So if you're reading my title, it says that we're closing, and I hope that's making someone excited, especially if you're on this NACA journey and it feels like closing or even getting to that point feels super far away. I want you to stay encouraged that it is in reach, especially for anyone who is persistent. I was kind of reflecting on it because we joined NACA in November of 2019, and then by the time we had our first appointment with our NACA counselor, I think it was December or January of 2020. So honestly, it took us like two and almost a half years. But think about the fact that we threw in a pandemic. So we started in November 2019, and then it was a whole pandemic, and then we're still in a pandemic. So I would imagine if a pandemic didn't happen, it definitely wouldn't take us as long as it did, for a number of reasons. Because in that process, I lost my job, which delayed us. If you've been following my NACA journey, you know everything that happened. I don't feel the need to rehash, but I lost my job. A whole pandemic happened, which changed the market. So I don't want anyone to look at my journey and be like, oh, it's going to take me 2.5 years to find a house. No, it shouldn't. It should not. It should not take you 2.5 years to get approved and to start looking for houses. Apparently the market is turning, so hopefully it's better for people. But I did want to let you know that we're closing, and I will tell you the story on how we got the house. So we were looking, putting in bids, and you guys know how this market is. People are bidding high, and we just don't have it. And then coincidentally, my dad just one day was saying, I know someone who just moved out their house, and they may be willing to sell it. Let me call them and let them know that you're looking for a house. Yeah, we've been looking for a house all this time, and I didn't know my dad had the hookup, but apparently he did. So he reached out to the person. He was like, okay, I know this person, we got some kind of history, and he managed to get us in to look at the house. So the house, it wasn't exactly what we were looking for, and I think that's part of my problem. I went into it like thinking that I want my dream house, when honestly, you know, sometimes you just have to start at your starter home. Like, your starter home doesn't have to be your dream house. Obviously, you want it to be something you like, something that you're proud of, a good purchase, but it doesn't have to be your dream house. So I have been looking, and I'm like, I only want houses that are 400 square feet. I only want houses that are in the suburbs. I had all these requirements. And then this house kind of went in our lap, and it wasn't 400 square feet. Barely 1,200. It wasn't in the suburbs that I thought that I wanted to be in, so it went against the grain. But it wasn't a beautiful neighborhood. It wasn't a beautiful neighborhood on the outskirts of the suburbs that I wanted to live in. It did have enough space for my current family, me, my husband, and my child. So we went in with the open mind, and when we saw the house, we were like, man, we really like this house. There's so much potential here. So we viewed the house, we were excited, we're like, gosh, oh my God, this is finally happening for us. And we were reaching out to our realtor. We were like, okay, we're willing to pay a certain amount of money. I'm sorry, y'all. Somebody's next to me. It just has the horn beeping. So I'm sorry about that. So we were like, we're willing to pay a certain amount of money. We want this house. Like, the fact that we don't even have to fight with people for this house. We really want this house, and we're willing to pay a certain amount of money. So we got super excited, and then out of nowhere, this lady's son come out of nowhere. He don't even live here. He don't even live in New York. He comes from North Carolina and says, I want to buy your house, Mom. So then the person's realtor told us, well, actually, she's going to sell the house to her son. So we were really disappointed because we were like, man, a house finally fell in our lap. And then out of nowhere, her son wants to purchase the home. So we were disappointed, but then we understood, like, you know, this is her child. If she wants to sell the house to her child, that makes sense. Apparently, he doesn't even live in New York, but he wanted to use it as a rental property. So we were like, okay, it is what it is. We kept it moving. Then a couple weeks later, we heard through the grapevine, my dad, grapevine, was like, okay, well, she wants to sell the house to her son, but her son doesn't have the money to afford the house, right? So I guess she was gonna cut her son a deal and be like, okay, well, just even pay me $50,000. Like, you're my son, just pay me $50,000 for the house. Apparently the son, I don't know if he could afford it or he wasn't willing, but he just wasn't paying her the money. So I guess she reached back out to my dad and was like, okay, if your daughter still wants to buy it, let me know. So we still hadn't found a house by then. So I was like, of course we want to buy it. And this went back and forth a couple of times. We were like, we're getting excited. And then she changed her mind again until the last time where she was just like over it. She had moved out of her house. She had moved into like a smaller place. And she was like, I'm tired of paying bills on this house when I'm not living here. So I don't know what happened between her and her son. I don't know if it's a point of tension because she decided to move forward with us. But she agreed to sell us the house, and I was just like, man, once she signs the contract, it's a wrap. So that all happened between, I think, the end of April and now, and it has been a process. We, you know, had to go through everything. We had to get our things submitted to the underwriters. We had to write plenty of letters. We had to make sure we weren't adding debt. There's so many things that we had to do, and now we're kind of at the finish line. There was one hiccup. We were supposed to actually close on Monday, and then there was something where they didn't have the title, or they didn't have something that was required for us to close. So then our Monday closing date, the 25th, got pushed to August 3rd. So we were pretty disappointed. We were like, okay, this house needs work, because the house does need work. The house is a house that they built, the woman, the owner, and her husband built 30 years ago. So they have been living there for 30 years, and it's apparent. Like, there's red carpet, there's green carpet, there's all this stuff. So apparently it definitely needs an update. So our plan was to close on the 25th and then give ourselves to September 1st to work on the house. So the fact that it was pushing back, we were really worried. We're like, okay, how are we going to get all this stuff done? And we're pushing the closing back date, and then we don't even know if the closing date they're saying now, August 3rd, is actually going to be the date. But then on, what was it, Tuesday, we got notice that the sellers had everything they needed, and that we were gonna actually be able to close on Friday if we want to. So today's Wednesday. I plan to make a video after we close. We're actually doing our final walkthrough tomorrow. So I hope to take a video then, just to give you guys an idea of what it looks like, and then hopefully be able to make a video after we do all these repairs so you can see the update. I keep saying hopefully because I am very, very slow at doing stuff, and I do get overwhelmed with the other things that I'm doing. So I don't want to have you guys waiting like, oh, on Saturday she's going to make a video and that happens. But I wanted to update you guys to encourage you, to let you know that NACA does work. Like I said, I've said this in other videos. I know somebody who closed in NACA, like somebody I know personally, a good friend of mine, who closed in 6 months. So everybody's journey is not the same. Not everybody is going to take 2.5 years like me. Some people are going to be better and be quicker, but your journey is your journey, and it is worth it. There has been plenty of times where we were gonna apply for different mortgages. In fact, right before we found out about this house that we're gonna purchase, we were applying for a different mortgage. Like, we were literally about to go through the process where we met with them to see how much we could get approved for. But obviously God had other plans, and we were fortunately able to go through NACA with this house to purchase. One thing that they are doing now, which apparently is new within the last year, is that they're making you stay in the house for 5 years. And I don't know if that's in response to COVID and people buying houses to flip, but they're making you stay in the house for 5 years unless there's like some extenuating circumstances. So that's okay, you know, because for us it's like the house is a starter home. It's not huge. So I'm assuming in 5 years we're gonna need a bigger place. But for now it's gonna work out for us, and it's gonna be good for our family. So I'm gonna run into the gym, but I just wanted to give you guys an update. I hope you are encouraged. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them. I will try to answer them as I'm able. And stay tuned for my closing video. Deuces.